If you have ever had a big idea churning in the depths of your heart and you immediately thought, I could never do that, this conversation is for you. If you've ever felt like your dreams were so big, too big for little old you, this is for you. If you have had a dream that keeps calling you, that passion that keeps burning inside you, and that thought keeps coming back over and over and over, but you keep thinking that you are not cut for this. You're not cut out for this. You're not ready for this. This is for you. If you're a mom who's been thinking about starting a business or chasing that dream or writing that next book or doing that next thing, but you keep saying, this is not the time. I'm not at that stage yet. I'm not ready for this. I'm not the person who needs to do that. I'm not the person who can do that. Then this conversation is for you. Hi, I'm Matilda Be, and amongst all the things that I do, I help moms find that bridge between their dreams and their family because I believe that your dreams matter, and I believe that the commitments you've made to your family matter. And I also believe that you can create the harmony to be able to do both, to show up for yourself, show up for your dreams, and show up for your family. And I help moms map out the path that they can use so that they can show up in all the places that they need to. So let's have this conversation. So what do you do when those thoughts come up, right? When you feel that you're unworthy, that you're not ready, that you're not the person for this dream, that you're too small or the dream is too big. What do you do when you find yourself feeling that way? How do you meet your goals when you feel like your goals are too big for you? What do you do? This is where the concept of identity switching comes in. So, what is identity switching? Identity switching is basically when you have a mindset shift, right? It's deciding who you want to be and then living as that person. It's having this mindset shift that says that moves you to being in a frame of mind where you start making the decisions and you start living the life of the person that you want to be. So it doesn't matter who you are now, it doesn't matter where you are now, it doesn't matter what you're doing now. What matters is that decision, right? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And then start living as that person. If you look up the documentary I Am Not Your Guru, like Tony Robbins' documentary, I Am Not Your Guru, he says, like in one of the very first scenes in that thing, he says, there was no Tony Robbins, right? I made this person. I built Tony Robbins. And what he's talking about and what he's basically saying is that there came a point in his life where he made the decision that he would be Tony Robbins, the Tony Robbins that we know today, right? The guy um who built this whole brand around himself, and he motivates, like he's a motivational speaker. He helps people like transform their lives, change their lives, see life from a different perspective, start thinking differently, start acting differently, start doing differently so they can they can live the lives they want to live, right? But Tony Robbins, had to get to a place where he made the decision that he would be that person, and then he started living as that person and built the Tony Robbins that we know today, right? There's a defining moment in his life where he decided that from that day on, he would start living as a different person, making different choices that would build the person that we know today as Tony Robbins. Um, Kobe Bryant did an interview with Tom Bilyeu, right? And he shared how when he was pretty young, right? When he was pretty young, he decided that he would be the greatest. That he would be the greatest basketball player. And from that point on, he started working to become that person, right? And so when everybody else was playing to their strengths, like in the early years, like in the teenage years, or like, I'm not a sports fan, so I don't even know the correct terms. But in the early years, when everybody else was like, oh, I'm great at, I don't know, like throwing the ball, right? It's like, I'm great at doing this. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to shine in that space. He would pay attention to the things he was not good at, and he'd work on those things. So when you show up and you're watching a bunch of 13-year-olds, You see Kobe Bryant, and he's not playing to his best, right? He's not playing to his strengths. He's actually playing to his weaknesses, and he's working on those things. So you show up and you watch a bunch of 13-year-olds and you're like, this Kobe guy, yeah, right? But he's working on those things so that when it matters, when the what are they called, when the scouts, are they the scouts or whatever, when he gets to the point where they're now drafting players into the next level, like the college level or the NBA, that sort of thing, when they start drafting into those things, he has worked on all the weaknesses that he knew he had from the time he made that decision, such that when that draft came up, he was ready, and he was a well-rounded player, which is what makes him the greatest of all time, right? So what is it that you want to do? Beyonce and Adele have an alter ego, right? Beyonce has Sasha Fierce and Adele has Sasha Carter, right? And what that is where you know that the person that you are is not ready or able or confident enough to show up for the things that need to happen, right? So you've got this big dream. You want to write this book, and you know that right now you are not ready to write that book. You are not in a space where you are confident enough to say, I am an author, right? And so you create a person. You create an identity of a person, that person who you know is going to do that, right? Beyonce has Sasha Fierce, who will show up at the concerts, who will write the songs, like, who will show up, right? So you have to find that space, and you have to create that identity. You have to decide what that identity is, right? So what does this look like for you? How do you take this concept of identity switching and use it to meet your goals, to achieve your dreams, to live out your passions, to make your dreams a reality? Well, what you want to do, firstly, is identify and connect with that dream, that desire, that goal, right? You want to say, what is it that you want to do? You want to connect with that thing. Tony Robbins wanted to be a motivational guy. He connected with that thing. Beyonce, we all know what she's great at, right? She became the greatest at that because she connected with that. I will be the greatest. I am that person. Who are you? What is that identity you're trying to create? What is that goal you're trying to reach? What is that passion, that desire, that thing that keeps coming back and driving you and you keep ignoring it? That thing, what is it? You want to identify and connect with that. I am an author. I am a podcaster. I am this. I am that. What is that thing? When you've identified that thing and you've connected with it, you want to start living as that person. What do authors do? What is an author's schedule from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed? What are the things that they are filling their day with? What are the things that define being an author that differ from being anything else, right? An author is going to have time for book writing. An author is going to have time to map out the script, write the book, you know, I don't even know what authors do, but you get what I'm saying, right? An author will have certain things in their day that a singer doesn't have in their day, right? So when you identify what your goals are, your dreams, your passions, your desires, that thing that you're working towards, once you've identified it, you start making you start living your life according to what that person, who that person is, right? What are the decisions that they're making? The difference between faking it and becoming it is the actions that you take on a daily basis, right? So you can, what people usually struggle with when it comes to living in the space of the person who you want to be is that they feel like they're faking it. It feels like you're lying to yourself, right? People often um, discredit affirmations because it's like, how do you say to yourself, I am the greatest of all time? I am the greatest basketball player when you're 13 and you're not even in the NBA, right? And then you feel like you're faking it. The difference is in the actions. if when you're 13, you're paying attention to the actions that you are taking that will make you the greatest person, the greatest basketball player of all time, then you are becoming. But if at 13 you tell yourself, I am the greatest basketball player of all time, and you're not doing anything towards being a basketball player, towards being the greatest basketball player of all time, then you're faking it. Then you're lying to yourself, and you will know that this is not working for you, right? So when you feel unworthy, when you feel like your goal is too big, when you feel like there's just no way, when you feel like there's just no way that this thing will happen, that is when you adopt an identity switch. That's it from me for today. Until next time, have a good one.